Hello my friends all over the world, wherever you are. William Poloniak here again at Whole Health Foundation. And in today's juice I'm calling it my Rainbow Spine Cord Rejuvenation Juice. And I'm using an abundance of broccoli greens and Swiss chard greens. Now you can't buy broccoli greens in the store, you have to grow it, but you can buy broccoli. But let's look at the rest of my ingredients and then we'll make some juice. Now in addition to my broccoli greens and my red Swiss chard, I have celery, 1 whole head of garlic, 1 large beet, turmeric, about 100 grams, 100 grams of ginger, wild dandelion greens, and my favorite green, French sorrel. Now French sorrel will not only nourish but will cleanse every gland in your body, and of course carrots. So let's start making some juice. Now as usual, to begin I'm going to plug in my thermometer and start with 3 ice cubes to cool down the cutter in the feed tube. And I want to point out I'm using the near zero blowback cutter in here and the front loading feed tube. With the red Swiss chard. And I'll remind you to feed this in slowly. This near zero blowback cutter is doing an excellent job, just like a hot knife through butter. More Swiss chard. Now I want to point out, because the cutter is doing such an excellent job, you'll be tempted to put in more produce, but don't do that. Less produce is more effective. Just take your time and go slowly. I want to point out that greens are very, very fibrous, so as often as you can think about it, and especially when the motor's working hard, take out your grid, put it in the palm of your hand like I have here, and clean your grid. Replace the grid, and we'll continue. Next I'm going to do my celery. Ginger. Now I'm up to 27 degrees Celsius, so I'm going to put in 3 more ice cubes to cool down my cutter. Now because celery and ginger are very fibrous, I'm going to clean my grid again. And just a little tip, you put your grid in the palm of your hand like that. You don't want to be holding it and scraping in the palm of your hand. Clean both sides, clean your knife, put the grid back in and continue. And now I'm going to continue with broccoli greens. Next I'll put in my beet that I've already quartered. The last of my dandelion greens. And I'm going to switch to my French sorrel, but before I do that, I'm going to clean my grid, put it in the palm of my hand like so, scrape off both sides, put the grid back in, more French sorrel greens. Notice my motor working hard, so I'm going to clean my grid. Put it in the palm of the hand like so, clean both sides. Scrape off all of the pulp. Put it back in the grid holder, and we'll continue with the rest of my French sorrel. Now I want to point out, when you're doing greens, you have a tendency to collect a little bit of juice at the bottom of the feed pan, and there's a little tip I'm going to give you about how to get rid of that. And what you do is feed in a few carrots, allow the pulp to come up to absorb that, and then push it into the tray. You see how well that carrot pulp absorbed that juice? And push it through. And I want to remind you again, whenever you do your last carrot, there's always a plug of produce in here, usually a carrot. So I'm going to put some pulp into the feed tube, and I'm going to force that last plug of carrot through. And then I'm going to clean the grid, mix my produce, and make some juice. Next, I'm going to take out the cloths from the freezer, unfold them, mix my produce, and make some juice. And when mixing the produce, you want to get a really good mix of carrots and greens. So what I'll do is rotate my bowl in both directions to get a really, really good mix. After mixing my produce, I'm going to put 3 generous ladles full of pulp in each cloth. And I'm going to press 2 cloths full of pulp at one time because you get best pressure that way. I'll put these first 2 cloths in the press. Centered left to right, that's very important. Centered front to back, adjust it if necessary, all the way back. Back it off, and we'll continue filling more cloths full of pulp. You'll notice there's a rhythm to this. Now you don't throw this pulp away. What you do is put 2 scoops, not 3, on top of the spent pulp. Pull it into a tight package. The tighter the better. Flatten it, set it aside. Again, 2 scoops, not 3. Now I want to point out something. Don't make a loose package like this. Pull it into as tight a package as possible. The tighter the better. Advance that all the way when you're in your last cloth. This goes forward, this goes over, the spent cloths go on top. And again, you see there's a rhythm to this. 2 cloths in, centered left to right, centered front to back, make an adjustment if necessary, all the way back, back it off a little bit. Now if there's a puddle of juice in the tray like I have here now, another less work 6 cloth method is to take this pulp, crush it up, put it in the puddle of juice to absorb that juice. We'll put 3 scoops this time because we put the spent pulp in the tray, the collection bowl that is. Now this goes forward, this goes over, and this goes on top. Now because my bowl is full, I'm going to fill bottles, and the tray, to prevent it from dripping on my countertop, I'm going to set it back, but not a tiny bit, set it back a lot so that it's very, very obvious. So let's fill some bottles. Now you'll notice that I'm leaving about 10% for filtered water. Now I use distilled water because I have a water distiller. Juice is generally too concentrated anyway, so I like to add water. Let's make more juice. Okay, I have repackaged the spent pulp into 3 double packets of repackaged pulp, and I'm going to squeeze it again to show how much more juice we can get using the Whole Health Foundation Premium Model Juicer. And I'm using a measuring beaker to measure how much more we can get. So let's put 2 packets in the press. And now in this stage it's very important to get it right in the center. Front to back and left to right. And this time I'm going to go all the way back and wait for juice to flow before I back it off. Back that off a little bit. And as soon as I determine I have traction between the 2 cloths, I'm going to advance it a little bit more, and then all the way. Now what I did on this pulp is I repackaged it again because the packages had expanded so much. I knew there was still a lot of juice in there, as there is in this one. You can see it's a little damp around the edges, but I'm not going to bother repackaging it again. I've already done it twice. So advance that all the way, and I've got 17 ounces of juice from the repackaged pulp. That's more than 1 full bottle of juice. So now, instead of a steady flow, I've got drops dripping down. I'm going to stop my press, and we'll pour this into bottles. Now, as you can see here, I have 5, 10, 11 bottles of juice from this batch, plus 8 ounces in a wine glass, and more than one of these bottles, plus the 8 ounces in the wine glass, came from pressing the reprocessed pulp. And that last 10% of the juice is your most valuable juice in terms of nutrients that comes from pressing juice out of the microfibers. So let's do a taste test. Well, there you are, my friends. This is my spine cord rejuvenation rainbow juice. Let's see what it tastes like. Very tasty. Not as bitter as I thought it would be because of the dandelion, but the French sorrel does sweeten up the juice substantially. If you'd like to call me, my phone number is 760-753-0321. My email address is developtrust@cox.net, and my webpage is wholehealthfound.com. Here's to your health.